Hello, and welcome to the MindShift Mami Podcast, a space where we will embark on a journey of self-growth, empowerment, and building success in our lives. I'm your host, Jasree Peralta, your companion on this journey as we explore together the art and science behind mind shifting. Today's episode is all about what mind shifting is, why it matters, and why you should care about it, and 3 easy ways that you can begin to implement simple but significant steps in your everyday life to begin to live into your most authentic self. That means becoming your most successful self, becoming your most happiest self, yourself that is thriving in all the relationships in your life, yourself that has clear boundaries for herself and she has no problem putting them down. So yes, we're going to get into all of the things. Let's start with the foundation of what mind shifting is. So there are a few different definitions of mind shifting online, and they all are generally saying the same thing. But one I like is the definition of mind shifting is the intentional process of changing one's mindset or perspective. I feel like that one is very to the point and is easy to grasp. We all know by now that Albert Einstein famously said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. If you have been thinking the same way about things your entire life or the majority of your life, and you are dissatisfied with the way your life is, you need to change the way that you think about those things. That's the secret. That's the key, y'all. Another one of his quotes literally is, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Like, Albert had bars out here, yo. If you are thinking the same type of way for all of your life and you're having issues in relationships, you're not getting along in your marriage, you hate the job you're at, or you're not satisfied in your job, and you're always having some kind of issue in life, your mind is a huge part of that. None of us can control other people. Hopefully all of us understand and know this by now, but the problem is a lot of us still have behaviors and actions and emotions that try to either place blame on other people in our lives for our lives not being where we imagine they should be. You have to take ownership of your wounds, heal your wounds, and move forward in a positive way in your life. So that all comes down to how you think. And that is the beauty of mind shifting. It is a ray of light. It is a ray of sunshine. It is a glimpse of hope. It proves to all of us out here that you don't have to live the same life you're living for the rest of your life if you are not satisfied with it. I find that very empowering. I find that very liberating. I find that very exciting. The insanity quote really hits different when you're on this mind shifting journey. Our boy Albert was saying, girl, you're freaking crazy. You're insane. You're insane in the membrane because you keep behaving the same way in life. You keep not doing anything different to elevate and expecting to elevate still. I just hear that and it hits me in the chest, but it hits me in the chest in a good way. Like, come on, start thinking differently, okay? And then you can be successful. Any kind of goals that you are trying to achieve in life, mind shifting is an essential tool to have in your toolbox. I would say it is the hammer of the toolbox because, we have all the other little things and a little screwdriver. A screwdriver's good too. It's just something that is a foundational tool for everybody who is just trying to level up and become their most authentic, highest self in this life. So I'm going to give you 2 different examples of research that has been done on mindset. They are both focused around different emotions. One study focused on negative emotions and one study focused on positive. So listen and see if there is a correlation. The negative thinking research study found that a habit of prolonged negative thinking, it diminishes your brain's ability to think, to reason, and to even form memories. You being in a bad mood, it essentially drains your brain's resources. Another study found that cynical thinking also produces a greater risk of dementia. If you're a cynical thinker, you better start looking at the glass half full, honey. So that's the research that focused on the negative thinking. There was another study that was done on people who gratitude journaled. Regular gratitude journaling, somebody who is consistent with regular gratitude journaling, has been shown to result in 5% to 15% increases in optimism and 25% increase in sleep quality. Okay? Everybody could use 5 to 15% more optimism and definitely 25% increased sleep quality. I know you at least want some better sleep, so start your gratitude journal today. You can do whatever, you guys, whatever. I was grateful for musicians. I was grateful for artists. I was grateful for scientists. I was like, thank you to everybody who has contributed something to our world in a positive way. Like, thank you, musicians. Like, you are the artists of our lives. Like, you help conceptualize all the thoughts and feelings that we as humans have. So, but it makes me really grateful. You know, you can really go anywhere with it. There are no rules. There is no wrong way to do it. So definitely recommend giving that a go. There have been multiple studies that have provided evidence that gratitude itself, just to feel gratitude, just to have gratitude more often, will increase your emotional, mental, and even physical state of being. What? Like, heck yeah, I want to feel better. I just got to remember to be more grateful for things. You bet your butt I'm going to try that on more often. Definitely something that is simple but significant for you to begin to implement into your everyday routine, or at least into your lifestyle. So now I'm going to go into some practical tips that you can begin to think about and start to implement into your life when it comes to mind shifting. Tip number 1 is recognizing limiting beliefs. This I really like because limiting beliefs are a very popular, sadly, very popular thing that a lot of us, particularly us as women, deal with. And it's just exactly how it sounds. It's limiting. It's almost like making yourself smaller, or making yourself think, oh no, I could never do that. Or no, this is just how my life has always been, and this is how it always will be. Like, that is very limiting belief. And I want you to elevate out of that into a growth mindset. And again, having that more optimistic point of view. It's so important to identify your limiting beliefs and then challenge them. How come I can't do that? How come I can't change my job and transition into a different industry? Who says you can't do that? Who says? A shout out to Selena Gomez. The thing with limiting beliefs is a lot of the time they're self-imposed. And yes, we might have gotten them from our childhoods. Maybe they were modeled. Maybe we saw our parents have limiting beliefs, so then we adopted those limiting beliefs. That's why it's so important to reparent ourselves once we are adults, realize that our parents did what they could with what they had at the time, but we are of a generation that we have a lot more resources right at our fingertips, and we can learn to grow and advance and have enriched, authentic lives where success looks different for everyone, but it is something that is special to you, and that's something that you have autonomy over, and you get to decide what that looks like for you. So recognize those limiting beliefs. Maybe you can go on that jog tomorrow. You can sign up for the gym. You can go 3 times a week. Take that step forward outside of that limiting belief. Tip number 2 is I want you to begin to embrace change into your life. A lot of us are a little too rigid. A lot of us are too stuck in these routines for years at a time sometimes. And that's not good for growth. You know, if you think about anything else in nature, anything that stands still dies. So we got to keep moving. We got to keep shifting. An example for me where I embraced change in this past year was I made a vision board, and on it was travel, because it is something that I love to do, but I realized I wasn't doing enough of it in my life. So this past year, done the most traveling that I've done ever. I went to Mexico several times, actually, I think twice. Visited Spain, I visited London, moved around the States, I went to Arizona. So yeah, and it was wonderful. It can be you changing and seeking other new experiences. If you love music, if you love live concerts, but you rarely go to them, start actively looking for shows to go to. Go to local shows. And that's something that I started doing too, actually. I realized how much I loved the arts, but I realized my current lifestyle at the time was not reflecting that. So I prioritized those kinds of things when it came to my fun money. So that's the beauty, and that's the great thing about changes. Change is not always a negative thing. The thing about embracing change is it helps us cultivate a growth mindset. You learn so much more when you change how you've been doing things for all of your life up to this point. Tip number 3 is the most important tip. And tip number 1 and tip number 2 actually will not work very well at all for you if you do not prioritize tip number 3. And that is cultivating self-compassion. You're going to need to armor up and protect yourself and love yourself on this journey. When you have to confront your limiting beliefs and you have to start to embrace change in your life, we can do this in very simple but significant ways throughout our everyday life. There are also going to be bigger things that come up, bigger traumas from your past, bigger obstacles in your present that you realize you need to deal with and remedy in order for you to move forward in life. I would say this as a drug commercial. Mind shifting. Side effects may include dealing with really intense perfectionism and fighting it, having to cut off family members and being very painful experience. And when I say painful, it's emotionally painful. It's an emotionally hard journey, but it's also the most rewarding thing that you will ever feel in your life, because the beauty about mind shifting and about this journey we're on is it's all really part of the pillar of self-love and self-acceptance, so that we can get to this higher self, so we can get to this most authentic version of us before all the conditioning that has happened previously in our lives. What mind shifting does is it makes you become aware of all the things in your life that are not working, and you have been expecting a different result. You want a different result, but it's not happening. So you realize that you are going to take a different action than you have in the past, and you might step on some people's toes. Correction, if you're doing it right, you will be stepping on people's toes, and you have to learn to focus on you being number one. That's self-compassion. You are the number one person in your life. You could hear my voice getting really hoarse, right? Do I sound hotter? Just like with I always wanted the raspy voice. Again, this is all about self-love and putting yourself first, even as a mom. I'm a mom, and I've had to realize recently, she's almost 3, and it's just taken me till now to really understand the concept of me needing to put myself first in my life in order to be the best person that I am, which will thus make me the best mom I can be. So work on that self-compassion, give yourself self-love, self-care. You might think that you're a pretty self-compassionate person, and then you start doing this journey and it's like, woo! Like you get a lot of self-doubt and things like that. As I've mentioned, MindShift Mami Podcast is all about small, simple, but significant steps you can begin to take in your everyday life. If you are just starting off on your mind shifting journey, please don't feel like you need to take these huge steps in your life right away. In fact, I think I would probably advise you not to, because it's essential to get the foundation before you start making decisions that you actually are not fully equipped to handle. Everything will be a learning experience. There is no necessarily right way or path to go about mind shifting, but I would recommend starting small. And this is why my podcast is really focused around those small, simple, but significant steps that you can take every day or every week to start shifting your mind to make even bigger money moves in a short period of time. So it's really up to you. You set your own pace, but some examples like we discussed earlier that you can take today and start working on that are easy is journaling. If you are a person who does not like long form journaling or aren't quite comfortable with that yet, or your brain doesn't work that way, bullet journaling is a popular alternative. I haven't gotten one yet, but I do want to try it. And because it sounds like the style is just literally in the name, where you kind of just jot down bullet points of things versus, a whole journalistic myriad of a story. So meditation is another excellent exercise to begin implementing. But right now I like doing guided meditations. I highly recommend the YouTube channel Pura Rasa. I believe her name is Purarasa. I'll link her below, or just look up on YouTube. There's a ton of guided meditations, or even just music for meditation if you want something of that nature to get you started. And then the last thing I would recommend to start implementing into your everyday life is getting more movement into your day and getting more play into your day. Play, play, play. We are meant to be playful creatures. We are meant to be creative beings. And if you are just doing a dull job every day of your life, if you're just watching your kids every day of your life, you are going to be a bitter, miserable woman. So you need to make sure that you are carving out time for yourself. And you are painting, you are dancing, you are singing, you are doing some kind of creative activity that you enjoy. And I will go into all the reasons behind these things at later episodes. You're not going to be your most authentic, highest self floating tomorrow, okay? Just focus on putting one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, one small step at a time. And I promise you, you will start to see these changes and these elevations in your life very soon. Thank you for joining me on this journey as we learn and implement mind shifting into our lives to grow, to empower ourselves. Just remember, with the right simple tools and just the willingness to grow and just the willingness to change, you will find yourself in a life filled with empowerment, success, constant growth, and happiness, and so much fulfillment. Until next time, keep shifting those minds. Hit that subscribe button if you want to have more conversations about spiritual and scientific insights, empowering conversations, and practical guidance to support you to become the best version of you. And I will see you on the next episode of the MindShift Mami Podcast. Take care.